This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Do you intend to protect anything to do with intellectual rights, or you're leaving that question to the wind?
Intellectual rights are protected even when
yes
the fair
or no?
use expansion is
All right, that's
included.
uncertainty. So, does expanding fair use exemptions risk abuse of creators'
I'd
rights
like
to
you, Honorable,
ownership?
to notice that even that abuse exists
It's
even
yes
before
or
the
no?
expansion of the fair
Uncertainty
use
again.
exemption. So when they are expanding the fair use exemption...
Is expansion really necessary?
Pardon me?
Is expansion
Yes, of
really
course.
necessary? I take that. Is creativity and innovation not being achieved?
It is not being
Yes
promoted
or no?
by commenting,
Cool.
criticism, and news reporting. There is no creativity
Okay.
promoted. But
Rachel
by making a movie out of
Magola's
some
song
content,
was
there is an extent
recognized
of
by
creativity promoted. Thank you.
All right, you're not answering any of my questions because I demanded for a yes or no. So I'm taking all your answers as uncertainty. I guess I'm clear. Once
You're
again.
clear.
Okay. When you came up and said that Rachel Magola's song was recognized by Wyke Bender, did you actually mean it happened under the current fair copyright use, or was there a different law at the time?
What do you mean by current fair copyright use?
You are not informed?
No, you are not informed because you have not
Okay.
listened to the song.
Would you at any point in life
Yes?
invest in something that you know you would actually access without investing that money? Like you can get it freely of charge
You are
at the
like,
end of the day.
would I invest,
you invest
without
in it?
knowing at any time that I will invest? The question
All
is
right,
not clear.
Honorable, you can go and see it. All right. First off, I will begin with the way the fourth speaker from Team Affirmative answered all my questions, which shows that he was not informed at all. I was very clear in my instructions, a yes or no answer. First off, I asked them if they intend to protect any intellectual property rights of the creators. What my team Negator has been talking about the whole debate, and Team Affirmatives failed to recognize that we as Team Negators, we are not here to say that actually the fair use of copyright is going to encourage copying. It's copying. But whatever these people are promoting, whatever they intend to add into the currently existing laws is what is going to lead to the problem. Currently, the current status is fine, and we as Team Negators are just about, we are saying that Team Affirmatives have failed to agree and have failed to understand. I also asked them if expanding fair use exemptions risk abuse of creators' rights to ownership. They said no. Now, let me first inform you. Team Affirmatives seem not to be informed. According to www.wipo.com, it shows that actually expanding this fair use to copyright law exemptions would look good at first, but at the end of the day, it has so many risks. First off, my team negators come here and tell you that the creators are going to lose morale. There is nothing you're going to be working for, since if they expand these copyright exemptions, people are going to be free to access this information wherever and however they desire. And Team Negators, we have shown you beyond reasonable doubt that whatever Team Affirmatives bring on board is wrong. It is leading us nowhere. So I would beg and request all of you to...
I'm Willie Wambankomaloto from the Affirmers side. And here I have some few questions for my opponent from the Negator side. Honorable, does information cease to belong to a creator if another version of it is made?
Yes. Manipulated if that happens.
Okay. Do some original authors include abusive content in their material?
Some, yes, some.
Okay, thank you so much. Does the copyright law exist 50 years after the copyright holder is dead? She's not aware.
Between 50 and 70.
Is commenting.
Between 50 and 70, I am
listen
aware.
to this one.
Yes.
Is commenting, news reporting, and research promoting the creativity and innovation that will promote inclusivity in the creative economy?
No.
It will not. Okay, let me ask you another question. Is plagiarism the same as innovation?
No.
She doesn't understand what she's
No.
speaking about. You can go and sit. Dear panel, the team negative comes and brings to us two major points that they are putting in their case. They are bringing about copying and protection of intellectual property. Now, they are mistaking the fact that plagiarism is different from innovation. When we are looking at plagiarism, we are looking at prototyping, copying the exact content that has been brought out by a content creator and using it as your own. In innovation, this is what we are doing. We are promoting that content, we are innovating. How? We are adding more content, we are removing or censoring some content, we are improving on the quality of that existing content. And in so doing, we are not copying, but we are just borrowing a leaf. We are getting an inspiration from the existing content and putting it to another version that will be easily accessible. One of my speakers came and gave an example of a book that is written. Now I can also give you an example. We have Okot Pibitek. Okot Pibitek is a poet. He writes his poems in English. Now what if someone comes, a low-income earner from Acholi, without seeking these copyrights, without seeking these high-priced licenses from Okot Pibitek or seeking permission from Okot Pibitek, and makes that information in Acholi. He makes the information in Acholi and eases its accessibility by the Acholi people. He eases its accessibility by these other low-income earners. That's promotion of access to information. Now the question is, has that person copied, or has it made it easier for these other people to understand? Right, they could be bringing in the point of copying. But now what are we looking at? It is not about copying. It is about improving on the quality of the existing product. Here, the quality was limited to only those people who can understand English. But now when the content is translated, it is also exposed to these people who cannot understand English. It is exposed to these people who can also be able to know of the content creator. They also spoke about protection of intellectual property. But I would like to pose a question. If your brand is being promoted, if the creator is being known beyond borders, is their intellectual property degraded? I can give you an example that my previous speakers gave. There is Isegawa Moses. He created the novel Snake Farmers, and Snake Farmers had content that was violating the rights of whites, and it could be easily banished in the white man's world. Now what did the University of Maryland in USA do? The University of Maryland censored that information. They removed the abusive content, and in so doing they are innovating, right? They are using the fair use exemption, right? And in so doing, they are removing abusive content, hence promoting easy access of that information to other people who could even be in other countries. Thank you.
I want to appreciate both Team Affirmative and Team Negative. Now, this is why I'm appreciating you today. Most times, a resolution like this one that is looking at copyright law, or any resolution that is looking at the legal framework and status quo, leave alone like legal framework in human rights that everyone knows, but where we are looking at copyright law. If you people are able to come and bring such mature arguments at such a level at which you are of secondary, when you have not yet even pursued your bachelor's of law to understand what you're talking about, but you are able to fully understand, because this is it. One of the biggest worries I had was a poor debate to come from you. But if you people are really good to come up and argue such, not even fallacies, but on what is in status quo, I'm really proud of both sides. Keep it up. Number two, a correction that now to the Team Negative. You were asked about, should I call it the lifetime of the protection? This has to do with the economic rights and more rights to the creator. Please, this is it. When you talk to 50 to 70 years, that is wrong. This is at the elapse of 50 years. This is what I mean. For example, if I release a song today, okay, I have intellectual property, or I have the economic rights over that song. But until I die, okay, then when I die like this, at the elapse of 50 years from my death, I cease. You get it? 50 years from my death, the creator. Not 50 years after releasing of this material. Are we together? Team Affirmative comes up and they talk about, for them they characterize innovation as adding or building the quality on what is in status quo. Team Negative, if Team Affirmative comes up with such a characterization from the third speech, come and refute, because the truth of the matter is, if we are to look at innovation entirely, it does not look at what they are telling, but for them that was their characterization. So if they come up with a characterization, come and tell them that, no, the characterization you have come up with is wrong. For us, we are taking the literal definition of innovation. Number two, Team Negative, why do you come and expand the parameters to the whole world? Okay, it's allowed. But now what we are talking about is it that maybe it's a global concern. So, for example, if we address it only in Uganda, we shall get it wrong. After all, even most of your examples, they come from Uganda. Then it's also now not enough for you to say that we are expanding parameters because Uganda is a small scale. That is really wrong of you. Then Team negative. Do you see what your third speaker said? What your third speaker said is what you were actually meant to say in this entire debate. By this is what I mean. The alternative or the argument you come up with of coping couldn't stand. The biggest argument that was come from you on the negative is the effect that it brings to the creator. Now, a creator has what they call economic rates. Now, this, for example, the person that has written. For example, if they are talking of the song, this is the person that sang. If they are talking of a book, this is the person that wrote. Now, it mainly, from the first and second, your biggest argument is, okay, if you are innovating, does it amount to copying? But now your third speaker, that is when they come and they begin telling them of the issue of the effect that it is going to bring. Now, because you didn't go ahead and characterize, that's why you see for them, they are telling you that, no, even if we are using without permission, for us, we are taking innovation to be, we are adding quality on what we are talking about. So what we are meant to ask them is, if they are now talking about an artist like Waiki Bender, which quality did Waiki Bender add on the song that he copied? Yes, even if there's recognition, it still amounts to fair use. Recognition is part of fair use. Now, they also came up and, okay, also now team affirmative. I think this is a fallacy. For you to say that Rachel Magola won because of Waiki Bender repeating the song, actually the truth of the matter is, the Obangaina song was a hit even before Waiki Bender repeating it. Maybe it became a hit to you youths, but to the biggest population in status quo, it was a hit. But now this is an engagement. Expect from you team negative. At the end of the day, it's not for me a judge to debate for you. Come and tell them. Then also the question that you are meant to ask that came as an explanation from your third speaker is, for them they are telling you that, you know what, at the end of the day, as long as this person is able to create and they don't have money, why should they suffer? So ask them, should now the creator that thought of the idea and put it in material form suffer at the expense of a person that is using it at fair use because they don't have the money? So what if also now the creator didn't have the money? Now these were the questions that were meant to say in these people's arguments, because they characterize, and for them they're looking at innovation, to look at improvement of quality. But get what your third speaker said, and the fourth is what you are meant to ask them. Ask them on the issue of, okay, you're saying, because for them they're really saying, no, we are going to improve on the quality, and then we should not leave out the fact that these people are creative, but they do not have the money. So now should I suffer because you don't have the money? Me who took my time to originally come up with something, should I suffer because of you? So from where did they get the money from? Then what about the financial implication? Instead of me earning money from my song, this person is also going to be earning money from my song. All those are economic rights that team negative you could come up with. Also, you could even go ahead and give now, what alternative do we have to encourage innovation and creativity in the creative industry? But it was a good debate from all of you, and a good improvement from team negative from last season. Likewise this side. And what I can encourage you, if you people push harder, you'll be good to go. Because the marks I've given you are really high. These are the marks. Still, I give both of you 15. Content, I give you 30, I give you 29. Team negative, why I give you 29 is that never accept team affirmative to come up with a fallacy and you take it up like that. They're telling you that, oh, this person won an election because of another person that fairly used their song. That is really wrong. Then also I give them 29 for strategy. I give you 28. Next time also team affirmative, you're talking about fair use. Talk about fair use for public benefit. It is allowed to fairly use a person's content. For example, if you're maybe talking about education, maybe you're talking about the health, making a total of 7 for affirmative, making a total of 7 for negative.
Thank you very much for that very, very spirited round of debate. To start my submission, I will give each of us a very important rule when it comes to debate. This rule is content analysis does not supersede rules of procedure. What does this mean? At the end of the day, however good your content is, provided it is not brought up in the right way and at the right time, that content can be classified as null and void. So today, we are faced with a resolution that says that this House believes that fair use exemptions to copyright laws should be expanded to encourage innovation and creativity in creative industries. So what do we see as submissions from both sides? We have a team affirmative that comes and sets their perimeter as Uganda, and then they try and go ahead to explain fair use, what they understand by creativity and innovation, what they understand by creative industries, and then they curtail creative industries to anything dealing with creative arts, where we talk about dramas, acts, and books, and so on and so forth. They furthermore go on and show us, as they go on and show us why they would expand such copyright laws. They talk about issues like allowing creative professionals to collaborate in order to create new products, since there is reference drawn from original products. They furthermore go and tell you that they are trying to promote access to information so that creativity and innovation can be fostered. They furthermore come up and tell you that in this case, they're trying to create a two-way benefit, in which way that the original composer and the secondary composer are going to benefit. Then, what do we get from Team Negative? Team Negative comes up and then they first of all negate that perimeter and say that the perimeter is the world, which may be valid in this case to a certain extent. Then what arguments do we see following that? They talk about expansion leading to confusion. They talk about honoring creativity in its purest form. They talk about killing creativity due to incidences of copying. They furthermore come and tell us that copying does not necessarily translate to creativity, because we're having a literal transfer of work in its raw form. Then they come up and try and bring up a sort of alternative, which was encouraging creativity and innovation. But you do realize that this alternative was not sufficiently expounded on. We furthermore see that to that effect, we see an engagement of your alternative coming from the affirmative case, whereby they say that, how are you going to bring your alternative to life? We do not see any engagement to that effect. They furthermore engage the issue of copying by saying that we are not necessarily going to commit plagiarism, but we are going to give access so that we can better the current state of these pieces of art. What submission or what engagement do we see in that regard? Team Negative again comes up and reaffirms arguments such as expansion is not only going to lead to abuse but also to confusion. They talk about one-sided benefit of the entire arrangement. They talk about killing creative quality or the original quality and undermining IP rights. Lastly, as we draw this to a close, we do realize that Team Affirmative comes forth and expounds more on the fact that they are not copying, but they are drawing reference. So at the end of the day, their goal is to get the original work or the original composition, better it by either adding material or subtracting material, and at the end of the day, this work is going to foster creativity and innovation, and it is going to better someone somewhere, be it in educational sector, entertainment sector, so on and so forth. And we do not see any engagement to that effect. I will upload the third negative because we see very clear arguments coming from your case. But as I said at the beginning of my submission, content analysis will not supersede rules of engagement. So in this case, however brilliant your arguments were, you robbed Team Affirmative of the right or of the chance to engage you on those arguments, which in this case was not tried. I'll also upload the fourth negator with the way you questioned or with the way you built your questions. But again, when you bring up a good argument like loss of morale, it would have served your side better if that argument came from first and second speech. So it is upon that judgment that my marks were as follows. For content, I gave Team Affirmative 21, Team Negative 20. For style, I gave Team Affirmative 18 and Team Negative 18. For strategy, this is where I differed, where I differed mostly, where I gave Team Affirmative 27, Team Negative 24, making a total of 66 for Team Affirmative and 62 for Team Negative.
Now, it was clear to me that one team has taken time to understand what copyright is about, and another has leaflets of ideas. In my opinion, there was two ways in which the negative team could take on this debate. One was to give us an alternative that can foster creativity in the creative industry and innovation. Number two was to really show us that expansion of fair use will not edge it, as suggested by the affirmative team. Clearly, the negative team chose the latter. You didn't give us any other option, so you chose the latter. So we must judge the debate on whether fair use can really foster creativity and innovativeness at the exclusion of any other method. Now, you could get from the affirmative team that they understand what a derivative work is, they understand, and you could get that the negative team is struggling to understand whether there is a derivative work or people are simply copying. Because we had a regurgitation of an argument of copying, that you're simply copying a work, and we had a regurgitation of a response that this is a derivative work. We do some innovativeness, some creativity to produce a new work from an existing work. So I commend the affirmative team for taking time to learn these principles, even if you are in high school, so to say. This debate for me zeroed down to that. And unfortunately, the negative team came at the time where it had the best arguments from the negative team, things like trademark dilution, argument for, not trademark dilution, things like dilution, an argument for authors and their morality, innovativeness and creativity came in the fourth and third speech, respectively. Unfortunately, that was too late. The first two speeches were simply talking about honoring copyright and so on. So we honor copyright. Does it promote creativity? We needed an anchor of an argument. So you're simply saying it does not honor copyright, it promotes copying, yet this is a derivative work. At the end of the day, felt like the affirmative team edged off in this debate. I gave 14 to the negative team for style and 15 for style to the affirmative team, 28 to the affirmative team for content, 26 to the negative team for content. For strategy, I also deferred, gave 28 to the affirmative team and 27 to the 28 to the affirmative team and 27 to the negative team, totaling up to 71 for the affirmative team and 67 for the negative team. Thank you. It's a unanimous decision for the affirmative team.